Ajit Doval is in Russia. Brilliant action by Prime Minister Modi. Because up till now, Donald Trump was thinking that he has a unilateral advantage against India, that he can decide what to do to India, and India is supposed to agree to it, live by his terms, no matter how unfair they are. So, two steps happened today. First, the Prime Minister spoke himself on this issue. The second, and very strategic, and end of the video I will tell you the third step which has already been planned by the government of India, which will happen very soon. So the second step is Ajit Doval in Russia. And what is his advantage of being in Russia? He is pressing Donald Trump's pain point. America has long had a problem with Russia, and this current entire scenario is America imagining that India is buying oil from Russia and that is funding the war. Buying oil from a country which is willing to sell it to you at a discount is in any nation's interest. India should do it, but they are linking it with funding the war. But the real story is something else. I will tell you that also. So let's start step by step. Prime Minister's reply today before we come to Mr. Doval. Prime Minister in a meeting today said, in public meeting, he said that I will not allow farmers, fishermen of India to suffer by agreeing to the terms which Donald Trump is proposing, even though I may have personal loss because of it. Personal loss, of course, means political loss because people will try to say what sort of bad relationships we have with America, that America is imposing first 25%, now 50% tariff. Now, I ask you a simple question. There are two ways. If somebody is trying to bully you, if somebody is trying to intimidate you, if somebody believes that he can force you to do harm to yourself, you have two options. One, you agree with him. You say, oh, we are very good friends. You cover it in public by saying Donald Trump is not imposing any sanctions on us, no tariffs on us, and we have come to a very fair trade deal. Whereas, in fact, in reality, that trade deal may be destroying Indian agriculture. What do they want? They want to send their crops, their agriculture produced to India. What are GM crops? They want to sell their GM crops to India. How will that make India dependent on America? You know, we will become permanently food deficient because we will be relying on America for our food. Should we? With such a beautiful land that God has gifted us with, which is so fertile that we are an ancient continuous civilization. When America didn't exist, we were still prosperous and rich. Should we destroy our agriculture? Then he wants to dump his industrial products in India, whatever is the manufacturing there. They want to dump everything in India. Why? Because you, middle class of India, has become strong enough that we have a massive purchasing power. That is why Apple is shifting to India. That is why other companies are looking at India. Tell me one brand in the world now which 20, 30 years ago was aspirational because it was not available in India. Now every brand is available in India. And why are they coming? Why are they making these massive investments? Because they know people of India can buy it. That's why they want to have access to a market. Now, access to market, I'm in support of. I am completely in support of good relationships with America, but I am not in support of India being used as a dumping ground. And you destroy our farmers, you destroy our middle class, you destroy our MSME, you destroy our industries. That won't happen, and that's what the Prime Minister is saying. So political attack can come. People can say anything against him. Why don't you have relationships? Bhaiya, simple baat. The very simple fact is either you surrender and then you have a good terms, or you fight. And Prime Minister, and I for one, I'm glad, has chosen that we will fight it out. And in fighting, now you have to make moves. So he, in his own way, made a declaration of trade war by saying we are not agreeing to this. Now, what is the next step to it? Next step to it is either Trump can impose more penalties, will not solve anything. 50% penalty or 500 penalty doesn't make a difference because nobody has the margins. If you're imposing 50% penalty, it's the same pain because then India, US, whatever we are exporting there and whatever they are importing there, their people, American citizens, will have to suffer. And whether you do 50%, for example, government imposes 100% tax on something or 500% tax on something, you can't do business at that rate. It's impossible. There is something which is justified. After that, it's just a number game. So what India is doing, the pain point. Ajit Doval in Russia. Russia A knows that America has made up its mind that it should not sell oil. Russian economy will suffer because of that. And Russian economy relies a lot on oil. And there are not too many nations who have the capacity to buy that much oil. China, India, probably the two biggest nations who can buy oil and can give money. Now, China, Russia, America, India, that is a topic for a separate day. I am focusing on Ajit Doval. So, as soon as Ajit Doval reached there, Russia official agencies have said that oil will figure topmost on our agenda. TASS, the agency, says we will discuss geopolitical situation, including Russian oil. But before Ajit Doval is going there, and think of the timing, Indian ambassador to Russia, Vinay Kumar, met with Russia's Deputy Defense Minister, Colonel General Alexander Fomin. So base was made ready. And after years, Ajit Doval is going to Russia, and the base is being set for what? This meeting is not happened in a day, but negotiation with America was going for months on end. Backroom, Prime Minister Modi refused to visit US even though he was in Canada. And he was also making points that if push comes to shove, we need to press the pain point of America. And what is India going to benefit? Not only that you are telling America it's going to be an eyeball to an eyeball confrontation, but also Russia now was already selling oil to India on very favorable terms. But because of America, India is now doing a greater favor to Russia by buying oil. So new things have opened up. Russia always wants to sell weapons to India, but what terms you sell the weapons on, whether you transfer some technology also, whether it's a joint operation, all that is always a gray area. So India's buy list now includes Su-57 fighters. The news has already come. India is not looking at F-35s. So America is already going to suffer billions of dollars of loss for their aviation sector, for their labor, for their employment, etc. Su-57. Plus, India is looking to buy R-77 missiles. Plus, India is going to buy more S-400 systems, which performed brilliantly in Operation Sindoor. And the nut end point of that would be that our defense now will be on very favorable terms with Russia because this is our advantage. And it's in Russia's advantage also because situation has changed. If you are doing a trade in difficult situations, then the deal becomes more advantageous, which it is becoming. Also, Russia is wanting to buy BrahMos from India because BrahMos, hats off to Indian scientists, Indian defense production facilities. BrahMos, 17 countries in the world are looking at, including Russia, which is a military power second to none. Economy, US may be bigger, but military, Russia is a phenomenal power. And they are wanting to buy BrahMos because everybody wants to diversify. BrahMos has performed in battle conditions. In fact, this trade of oil is just an excuse. The biggest problem Donald Trump faces with India is after we did Operation Sindoor and we destroyed Pakistani air bases, including their Noor Khan air base, which in effect is an American asset. Pakistan is a country in debt. America controls it. All the air bases and their defense system, at least in Noor Khan, was American. The way India managed to go through it, destroy it, has sent panic waves even in America on this issue. For example, Spain has just cancelled its deal of buying F-35s from US. If that sort of demonstration India did, that is why President Trump started talking about ceasefire, ceasefire, ceasefire. Well, if we had done ceasefire on his saying, trade deal would have happened. It's not happened. In fact, we are entering into a zone of trade war, and every Indian should be ready for it because either this trade war will make India stronger and independent, or we will become a country which I don't think we are willing to become. So we have to fight. And there is no doubt that we will win this fight. Remember 1991? How our situation was so terrible that we were unable to trade. We didn't have foreign exchange to be able to trade for even 2-3 months. 1 billion, I think, was left. Today, we have the fourth largest foreign exchange reserve, almost 700 million, $700 billion. So we are very well placed, quite apart from our infrastructure and how we have developed in every other way in the last 30 years. So now Ajit Doval there, selling BrahMos, doing a give and take on a military platform is almost unimaginable. It's a tectonic shift in how India does trade. And also buying what we need to buy from Russia is an absolute pain point, which the President Trump knows that India was having a very good relationship with America. There are a lot of Americans across party lines saying what Donald Trump is doing is very unfortunate. It is going to bring more pain to America than to India, but he has chosen his way because of various reasons, including his desire to sell military products to India, which India is not wanting to buy, because of also the pressure of what India did in Pakistan, because also Apple has shifted manufacturing here and it is increasing rapidly. Now Apple is sending more goods from India to US than it's from China. So all these are becoming problems, and the tipping point or the excuse is Russian oil, which Jaishankar answered many months ago that Europe buys more in one afternoon than India buys in 1 year. Well, it's not strictly true now. It was true that time because we were buying less than 1% oil. Now we are buying a lot of oil. But what is the nutshell of this? What is the end point of this? End point is move number two. Move number two, they are saying that the foreign minister of India, S. Jaishankar, is going to visit Moscow end of the month. The talks have been delayed for many years because India was also negotiating with America after National Security Advisor. 1 month, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if things sort out with America, which we all want. But if it doesn't sort out, then the foreign minister is going to be there and there is going to be a cooperation at the next level. And soon, there is no information on it. But after these two visits, President Putin and Prime Minister Modi meeting is almost inevitably on cards. So India is the new India. Now it stares down. Now, if you try to push it, it pushes back. If you try to press India's pain point and say, I will create agendas in India against Prime Minister Modi, then he is willing to press your pain points, that is Russia. Interesting times ahead. I am sure of one thing, this move is a brilliant move, probably unexpected by President Trump. And the next few weeks will tell whether we come to a fair deal, fair terms, fair trade, or we escalate it further.